Love the hater. We actually do love the hater, believe it or not. It might not appear that way all the time. But what does love really look like? Does love look like just letting your children run rampant into danger, acting a buffoon? Or does love sometimes look like trying to assist people in recognizing faulty behavior patterns? So these are some things we're going to talk about. In the recent video where we told them to cry us a river, part 2, what did we call that? Throw me an epic fit. Why do we call that out? Why is it important for you to call that out in your gates? If your kids, or if someone is in your gates of your designated area, in your establishment, in your realm where you have control and responsibility, why is it important to correct adolescent behavior and to make an example out of it in some cases? Because it's love. Love is calling out adolescent non-productive behavior and stopping the spread of malfunction in your gates. Okay? So I got at least 7 reasons that I could write down why from different angles, and there's more than this. It's important every once in a while to define what the standards are and even what the behavior expectations are, even in the comments section. So you'll see some channels will just ban guys. I will absolutely ban people that do not correct. If you don't repent of your pooping on the floor, I will have to ban you. Why? Well, this is a free speech zone. Not inside my gates, it's not. I'm responsible for what happens inside my gates. Do you allow your living room to be a free speech zone? Leave the door wide open for people to come in and insult your family and your friends? No, we don't. So we have to recognize and respect people's boundaries, people's spheres of responsibility. And so when it comes to me communicating what I do for my work, it's my responsibility to up the standard and define what that standard is. And when I see the adolescents come in off the street and loiter at their skateboards, insulting the staff and the clientele in my establishment, I make an example of them, make fun of them so that it's not entertaining for them to hang around anymore, and then they can leave or they can shape up. Now, maybe I'm really old. I'm like so old. I remember when the guy at the grocery store could smack you in the back of the head for talking back. Is that ancient? Nowadays, you'd probably get freaking SWAT teamed and you'd go to Guantanamo Bay for 1,000 years if you did that. Backhand someone else's kid in the grocery store for talking back, or being smart, or drag them by their ear to their parents. Hey, your kid needs to shape up, and then you get beat by your parents. It's love. And those are the days when the United States had what they call higher social standards, where people showed respect for each other. Nowadays, where it's illegal to punch people in their face, you have the problems you do. See, people, I remember even in the 2000s, kids that were in high school, because I was out of high school by then, but kids that I knew in the community, the stuff they would do, they knew you would be arrested if you smacked them. So they behaved accordingly, just pushing it, right? So what I wouldn't give for a time machine to go back to the old world standard. However we live in the world today, what's the nearest equivalent that is socially acceptable to still have the same loving effect, okay, and demand respect? So why would Rex, here's the thing, I'm not emoting at the people who emoted in the comments section. Well, I did a video on comparing some really, really affordable tools to really expensive tools, and showed how some of these affordable tools, specific ones, work actually better than the expensive ones, the old classic model. And there's guys whose heart is invested into their equipment through adolescence or whatever their malfunction is, and they lost their minds and they started behaving poorly. Why would I call that out? Am I emotional? I don't care what tools you use. You can use whatever tools you want. You can use your face to try to hammer a nail into the wall. For all I care, it's not me. I do not actually care about your tool selection. However, in my establishment where I provide a service to you fine people, there has to be a social standard in place, basic law and order, so that I wouldn't just allow someone to come and start switching the tags around. Like if I had a corner shop, sowing chaos, or just someone comes in and poops all over the floor right in the doorway so that high-class clientele wants to leave, right? Or someone coming in and just pretending they're a clerk there and piping in with all kinds of improper specifications on the different tools or whatever's going on. There's no other outfit on earth that would allow that to happen. So number one is love for the hater. I'm demonstrating, when I correct people, love for the hater. Accountability and pressure for higher standards of behavior is love. Accountability and pressure. It's present in every real teaching and training environment. You'll see it at high-end universities. You'll see it at high-end private schools. You'll see it in the military, but not in the world of where people are not held accountable, where you can just ghost somebody and disappear and cry behind their back. That accountability and pressure is not applied. Okay? But when it's within my gates, I definitely apply accountability and pressure to behave with just standards. Okay? So it facilitates growth and improvement when it comes to people's behavior. So that's loving the hater by correcting the hater, provides accountability and pressure, and calls them to a higher standard. Number two, it's love really for the truth. I have love for the actual truth, guys. It doesn't matter the topic material. The truth is the truth, whether you like it or not. If a cat is a cat and a dog is a dog, a man is a man and a woman is a woman, the truth and some of the most basic precepts in communication in the world, if you can get away with calling stuff something it is not, that's not helpful for anybody. That leads to faulty, bad communications, terrible reporting of truth. You can't bear true witness now if you don't have an agreement of what truth is. So even if it's a small matter, it's just a trivial matter, Rex. The truth on something, if I quantify and I say my test results are the resolution on this tool was 4.6 centimeters per millimeter and the resolution on this tool is 4.5, that's mathematics. That's a quantifiable number done to a certain standard where the methods and materials were identified. If someone reports that I'm lying when I am in fact telling the actual truth and the actual numbers, that's bearing witness against the truth, which in the core is the most dangerous thing we have in the world. Going back to the Garden of Eden. So the truth is the truth. Math is a blade that cuts through the BS. And so we must all agree to respect the truth, even if it's on, I don't know, how many pieces of candy corn are in this cup? 50, and there's only 3? No, dude, there's more than 3 in there. Is it trivial? If someone's insane or has a lying problem, or they're emotionally, if you think your emotions trump numbers in reality, that's the problem being corrected. It's not about the tool. I'm not trying to defend the tool. I'm trying to defend reality. Because it's a bad habit to get in, to start using your emotions to sway numbers and facts and realities. Okay? So there's a if there's a higher, when I'm doing one of the services I provide is to do equipment reviews. If you have a higher evaluation standard, a certain test that I missed, or a better way of evaluating something, to where if you have a question, well, what about the edges of the lenses, Rex? Did you account for that? Yes, I did. Methods and materials section on Patreon, totally posted and available there, right? But if you have a standard, well, what about, could you run this test? Could you run the Rosenbaum? Sure. But the prerogative is on the viewer to clearly communicate, this is the higher standard, guys, to clearly communicate what specific test with what methods they would like to see it evaluated. And then I, as the provider of the service, can look at that and judge if that's the appropriate test. I can explain why or why not, and I can conduct the test or not. Just complaining emotionally that Rex is bad and stinky and yucky because his conclusion doesn't make me feel special for my choices on purchases that I identify with tools is not the higher standard. The higher standard is articulating what's the preferred standard, methods, materials, etc. Complaining is not the higher standard. So that's another thing being corrected for. Also, 3, guys, I have love for the shooter. So if I allow people to come into the comments and just make shit up, I actually care about the shooter. And in a world of fierce advertising, and yes, I send links for everything, but in a world of dishonest advertising, I want the viewer to have quantifiable test results. I can make money from any brand, it doesn't matter. Do not assume I'm emotionally or in terms of identity bought into anything, because my opinion has changed many times over the years. Right? If I was a diehard loyalist for any particular brand, I would stick with that brand beyond their life expectancy when they became obsolete. So, love for the shooter dictates that I have to report the numbers accurately. And if someone comes in spewing what might appear to be coherent information or making false accusations against the integrity of the review process or the testing process, the shooter is now not going to be able to make an informed decision. Plus, guess what? Honest reviews allow people to save time and money. Why? Because I want people. Why does Rex actually want people to save money or give them that ability to do it? You can accomplish task A with this tool right here, or this tool. This one costs this much. This one costs that much. Why is that actually important to me? I could make more money, by the way, selling the more expensive shit, because I know that I want to spend more time with my family and spend less money, because then you don't have to work as much for the same tool. It's actual love for the shooter. I remember being poor. I'm still in that middle class, but I remember being like, man, this is a lot of money to spend $300. It's love for the shooter, man. Right? And so if you come in and crying about how your special brand was not loved or respected, that's not love for the shooter. That's love for you and your ego identity. That's love for your own id. I'm the tactical guru. I use the same equipment snipers use, Rex. Cool. It's love also, number 4, for the pups, the greenhorns, the casual passerbys. How is it love for them? See, if I police the comment section and make examples of the shitbirds, did you know that shitbird behavior, communist behavior, entitled virtue signaling behavior, is highly addictive when people see it? Because it's easy to do. It's easy to emote in virtue signal and feel entitled. And that makes it addictive. It's always been that way. That's why communism is such a trap for people. And it's very addictive, especially for the adolescent mind who hasn't accomplished much yet. Because you can immediately have the virtue. Immediately. Rex is he's a shill probably. That's the easy road. Looking at the numbers in the track record is the difficult road, right? But I don't want the casual passerby or the greenhorns or the young guys in the mix to observe that behavior in the comments section of my craft, my beloved hobby and craft, and think that that's acceptable in this community. You're dealing with a dangerous tool, an extremely powerful weapon. I can reach out thousands of meters and touch somebody. There's a reason for a higher standard of behavior. It's part of discipline. In any martial art, There's the equivalent of what they call in Japanese, I think, the Bushido, which is like the ethics of that art. If you only want to learn to karate chop people in the neck and not learn when to do it, you're a terrible person and should not be trained. So it's love for the casual passerby and for the young men learning the sport. There's many of the people in the competitive side of this too that do not have that. They're all about ego and self. There's no sense of responsibility for the community collectively. It's usually just signaling their own ego. So the old guys do this too. So that's something that I'm trying to up the standard on, just by saying, hey guys, when you're doing this involves math and science to get it right. Do not violate the rules of math and science and start piping in emotionally identifying with Kit. Not here. Too high of a discipline to do that. Right? You're going to allow that guy to play with your chemistry set? I don't think so. Farm machinery? No. Unfortunately, we let everyone drive a car, which is even more dangerous, right? So by the way, the false witnessing virtue signaler is the ultimate form of Karen. You know what a Karen is? The entitled lady that thinks she's the one that's like the superhero all of a sudden, virtue signaling with 99% emotions and 1% brains, walks into the room and just starts piping in. That's the ultimate Karen. And I don't want to see that become an option in our community, okay? And when I say our community, I mean if you guys, by the way, are in this community of long-range precision marksmen, you should call that bullshit out, because this is not the place for it. This is serious. Very dangerous weapon. Like someone fooling around like an adolescent swinging a sword around with a live edge on it. If I see, you see kids throw axes nowadays, they have them at the brewery. That is ridiculously dangerous. Throwing axes at the brewery. And I saw Braveheart. I'm not going anywhere near that building. Okay? Same thing. No sense of respect, responsibility, danger, safety, right? So emoting in the comments about your pride and ego, they don't let people like that even fly airplanes. That's one of the, that's in the books as a hazardous attitude. Someone who's thinks they know everything, just yelling emotionally at stuff. Nobody can tell them different. Someone who's not responsive to actual numbers and facts. The altitude is 320. No, it's not. It's probably not. You're just lying. Whoa. That maneuver was dangerous. No, I'm the best pilot ever. Very dangerous, right? So it's love for the pups and the casual passerby. It's also love for those who perform with excellence. So if I'm doing a review and I find an outfit, in this case, I believe I found an outfit that is one of many outfits, at least a few, that is performing, pardon me, that is performing with excellence. I like seeing that in the market. I want that quality to be rewarded in the market. If I find an outfit that can do something more inexpensively, or that's less expensive, more cheap, and higher quality, why would we not want to reward that? I actually have a love for those who perform in excellence. And the cats in this case is Arkin Optics. I know the two founders of it, Michael and Mike. One of them is a Navy SEAL sniper, Mike Riley. Awesome dude. He deserves respect for a job well done in his pressure that he did in the business. Michael is a fantastic dude. He was able to really put something together, and with his business prowess, he was able to get it in at a very inexpensive price. You guys don't understand why they're cheap, but that's on you. Don't just emote because you don't understand why something's more inexpensive. It's because they streamlined things. They skipped a huge amount of inefficiency in the process. I don't know if I'm allowed to give away all that inside information, but to make a long story short, they're efficient in the business end in skipping places that would just grab half the money, which jacks the price up on normal stuff. Those scopes don't need to cost as much as they do. And they're doing their best to make it as streamlined as possible because they're smart. I think that should be rewarded by telling the truth. Like, this scope is the same scope. It's actually a better scope than the expensive one. Well, how is that even possible? You guys are thinking statically, like everyone has the exact same business practices. If that was the case, which you don't know what you don't know, if that was the case, do you know why German scopes are so expensive? Is it because the parts are that much better? Or like that much more care and attention and detail goes into them? They do a good job with quality control, Schmidt and Bender. They have a great design. German engineering is great. But do you know why it's expensive to do it there? Go to Germany and hang out with people at the factory. And then take how long is their smoke break? What's their income? Why is stuff in America so expensive to build? Why do cars cost as much as they do? It has to do, there's a number of things you guys don't even realize exist of why some things that are better quality, better made, better parts are less expensive than things made in areas that are highly inefficient to manufacture because of the human dynamics and the social standard of living for people in that, blue collar field. German people get paid a lot and they don't work as hard as a Chinese guy does or a Japanese guy or an Asian. I mean, they're going through their industrial revolution like we did in the 1800s where we actually work. We actually work really hard for your money. There's those dynamics at play people don't understand. I'm not trying to talk smack against any country. It's just true. Why is a Rolls Royce so expensive? Because the standard of living in England is very good. They pay their people a lot of money and they don't work them to death anymore. They've kind of reached the apex of their empire. Same thing here in the United States. Have you ever had a manufacturing job in the United States? I have. I've also seen it abroad. So I've seen, and I know what it used to be from reading books during the Industrial Revolution. Huge difference in output and expectations with pay rate. It's just how it is, right? So I have love for those that can do things efficiently with excellence. Also, another reason too, and some of you identified this one, self-respect. I put in a lot of hours. I've invested a significant portion of my life in being truthful and honest in all regards, and building an orchard based on those principles of really providing a service that gives reality to honest people. Now, I could have made more money by being dishonest, but I prefer a properly earned dollar because I know it will last longer and it's not going to be accounted for in the fifth dimensionally by God. If I am operating honestly, how dare someone come in and bear false witness like I'm crooked for delivering something that didn't inflate their ego? That's bullshit. So I do have a certain amount of self-respect because I've invested the time and set up my orchard to be a clean orchard that's done properly, just weights and measures, just gains, fair gains, not through lying or trickery or what do they call it, grifting or whatever that's called. I don't do that. And I've, over the years, like it's been a smooth, steady, like the trees are getting more mature. Don't come in and start messing with my trees in my orchard, right? And the last thing, part 7, guys, it's love for my family. Why I would call out, and why would I call out the behavior like I did? making fun of it, laughing in their face, pointing at it. I don't want my children to inherit that. I don't want anyone I like to inherit that shitbird attitude. So I make a public show of it openly, like the Messiah did with certain smarty pants guys, made a show of them openly so that everyone could see that that guy is being stupid. Why? Love. Don't be like these guys. He exposed them for their shenaniganery, for their hypocrisy, for their lying, for their dishonesty, for their pride and ego problems. He didn't do it nicely. Why? Love for those that might fall into the same behavior pattern. He's drawing a clear line of distinction. So out of love for my family, I don't want them picking up on it, but also this is my orchard that I planted, which is a clean orchard, done on the up and up, 100% squared away, 100% honest. I'll tell you the truth on anything that I'm reviewing. And when I teach, I don't skew it either. There are systems that I prefer personally over what I would put forth in my teachings. But I have to give you the truth. Why? Because that's the way I built the castle. Because I want to sustain it for my family. But it is my income too. You come into my gates of my farm where I have my orchard and start vandalizing my trees and poisoning stuff and casting seeds. Comments are like seeds. It's like the enemy sowing weeds, throwing a handful of weeds in there. Those things grow. So by pointing out what the weeds are and allowing, by the way, actually teaching the flock of brothers, hey, these weeds are killing the trees in my orchard, but they're delicious if you eat them. Allow the flock to come in and clean up between the trees so that I don't have to police the comments. It is fun to shame shitbirds and entitled baby communists and to school them. And it's the right thing to do. And if people want to go through, and if I can create a culture of high accountability in the comments section where dudes call each other out for their dumb shit, it improves the entire community standard. That's how God's nation was run. Everyone knew the law and the standards in that law. And they held each other accountable socially. Do you guys remember the United States when it was bad to sleep around and you'd be shunned by your family for doing that? I remember that. And then I remember when that got let go, where everyone was doing it so much, it just became a free-for-all, do whatever you want. Nobody's shunned for anything now. The standard has been reduced. So by upping the standard of accountability, like, hey, that's not cool. What the hell's the matter with you? What are you thinking? Straighten up there. You better marry that girl now. What? Yeah. You're going to take care of all those kids? You don't just get to run off and not take care of the kids? What's the matter with you? Those standards are extinct. And so by enforcing the protective mechanisms in my gates and at times calling out the haters and the shitbirds in love, recognize it's instructional, corrective intent in nature to keep things on the up and up. And it is love. Love is more work, by the way, than not caring. Okay? So, out of respect for my own fields, out of respect for my family, out of respect for the viewers here, the shooter, the truth, and the hater, we deliver the truth. The truth is the truth, whether we like it or not. But it's important for us not to diminish from the truth. Like in our emotion and what I want has nothing to do with how the numbers come out. So if I produce a test and the numbers come out a certain way and you have questions, or if you would like to see other standards tested for or other methods and materials, articulate that to me. That's the way to do that. Just cry in the comments and poop all over the floor, because I will drag you out by your ear and make fun of you and post a picture of you on the wall. This guy's not allowed in here. Rock and roll. You guys have a wonderful day. Keep the standard high. Rex out.